Feel free to check out my TeePublic after the video, and support me on Patreon. Watch till the end of the video for more. This review was possible thanks to my wonderful patrons. If you'd like to show your support for this channel, then you can go do so on Patreon. Don't forget to purchase your own Wings of Love t-shirt in honor of actor Haruma Mira. All proceeds and donations will go to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. If the fundraiser does not reach 50 donations by August 28th, then no donation is made at all, so please click the link in the description to support this cause. Well, can't say I was expecting this so soon. Kamen Rider is a popular tokusatsu series created by Shotaro Ishinomori after trying to adapt his manga Skullman before Toei said it would have been too graphic to adapt. 1971 was when the first Kamen Rider show aired, and it would be a massive success as it became Toei's ticket into mainstream tokusatsu, as they would go on to also create Super Sentai, both shows still remaining popular and going strong to this day. And with Kamen Rider Saber on the way, which I did not plan for this review to happen as it was being announced, what a perfect time to go into my introduction to Kamen Rider, being Kamen Rider Zeto and Kamen Rider Jay. Let's start off with Kamen Rider Zeto, a 50-minute tokusatsu short directed by none other than Keita Mamiya, who you may know as the director of Zerem, Hakaider, and Garo. It was also the first joint production between Toei and Bandai, who also collaborated with Sunrise for Mobile Suit Gundam. A geneticist named Dr. Mochizuki conducted experiments and hoped to create the perfect life form. One of these attempts was when he spliced grasshopper DNA with that of his lab assistant Masaru Aso, as he would become Kamen Rider. Driven to insanity, Mochizuki created beasts called Neonoids, one of which is named Doras as he overpowers Dr. Mochizuki and sends other Neonoids after the doctor's son Hiroshi, so they could use him to force Dr. Mochizuki to transform Doras into his true form. Being called upon by Dr. Mochizuki, Masaru takes it upon himself to protect Hiroshi from these Neonoids and destroy them once and for all. Kamen Rider Zeto is just great. I absolutely love how it combines numerous types of practical effects, from suits to puppets and stop motion. It's just incredible and so badass most of the time. The one scene in particular that stands out is definitely the fight with the Spider-Woman, where it does an amazing job blending fight choreography with special effects and its set design. If I were to make a top 10 list of my favorite fights in tokusatsu, this is definitely in there. The character and creature designs were all done by Keita Mamiya, and he has a very unique aesthetic. All of his character designs are just absolutely imposing and godlike. They all have this mystical aura that really makes them interesting. My favorite has got to be Doras, who is just a beast of a creature design. It just really goes to show that they really don't make this stuff like they used to, and we could honestly use more movies like this. Oh, and the Zeto design is just super cool looking. The soundtrack by Eiji Kawamura is excellent. It really brings out the dark edge of Zeto, and it can just be haunting and chilling. Though I can't help but feel like it sounds like the Phantom of the Opera and Terminator at times. Overall, Zeto is an absolute blast. It's just perfect.
I apologize for interrupting this broadcast unannounced, but did you know that Kamen Rider Zeto had a manga adaptation? Even though the manga follows the story of the movie, there are some noticeable changes either fitting into the medium or expanding the story. One noticeable change is how, instead of just blasting a street, Doras just flat out destroys a part of the city, killing almost everyone around him. The fights are also way more brutal, and the Spider-Woman, no, not that one, she has an actual backstory. It turns out that she was Masaru's love interest before he turned into Kamen Rider Zeto, which makes her death way more tragic. Oh, and Hiroshi's friend, or sister, depending on the subtitles, from the dojo has a bigger role in the story, and she ends up encouraging Zeto to wear a karate gi and go on a training montage. So overall, if you could ever find this manga, get it! Well, my time's up. I'm gonna have to make a departure to another video similar to this one. Oh yeah, feel free to check out the TeePublic after the video.
I should probably get to Spider-Man sometime. But what about Kamen Rider Jay? Like Zeto, Jay is another 50-minute short that was directed by Keita Mamiya, and whereas Noboru Sugimura wrote Zeto, Jay would be written by tokusatsu and anime writer Shozo Yuhara. This time, a group of aliens are trying to summon the Fog Mother. Only problem is that they don't have a sacrifice for their extraterrestrial ritual. We then see Koji, who is out at a lake with his friend Kana, who would then be kidnapped by these aliens. After an encounter with said lifeforms, Koji is brought back to life as Kamen Rider Jay, thanks to the Earth spirits and a cute little grasshopper assistant named Barry. And much like Zeto, Kamen Rider Jay must battle his way through to save Kana and put an end to this alien menace. Also, Jay can grow big like Ultraman. I personally don't find this to be as good as Zeto, and that's only by a slight amount. Zeto had a very distinct look that helped it stand out, whereas Jay, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where if I jumped right into the middle of it without context, I'd probably mistake it for something else. And that's pretty much all the negative stuff I have to say about Kamen Rider Jay, if you can call it negative. I'd say something about how it isn't as ambitious with its effects as Zeto, but they're still very solid and impressive all around. And the set design is definitely intriguing. That and the scene where Jay turns giant is definitely enough to make up for that. Again, Keita Mamiya is just a great director and designer all around, as the designs here are just as good as Zeto's. Eiji Kawamura does the scoring again, and while it's not as striking as Zeto's, it's still pretty sweet. But I guess I gotta mention that one 9-minute special that features both Kamen Rider Zeto and Jay. This is Kamen Rider World, directed by Katsuya Watanabe and written by Toshihiko Azuma. This time, Shadow Moon, a villain from Kamen Rider Black, revives 5 foes from the franchise, being Garai, Agito, and Zu from Jay, Goshima from Shin Kamen Rider, which I'll get to next time, and Rhinoceros Mutant, I think that's his actual name, from Kamen Rider Black. And the short is nothing but a very entertaining all-out brawl. It's really awesome seeing Zeto and Jay team up, and the reuse of Kawamura's scoring is a nice touch. And look, Barry's back! Barry! Not to mention, this would also be the last Kamen Rider production shot on film, as future productions would all be shot on digital, starting with Kamen Rider Kuga. Overall, Kamen Rider Zeto, Kamen Rider Jay, and Kamen Rider World are all just fantastic, phenomenal pieces of tokusatsu. And they pretty much have everything you want in such productions. Great action, great story, great soundtrack, and incredible, just outstanding special effects. If I were to introduce someone to tokusatsu for the very first time, these are all top picks. And better yet, they're just a few clicks away. That's right, these are all on YouTube, which I know isn't exactly legal, but it's what we have for now. But considering how much of a push Kamen Rider's been getting in the West, it's only a matter of time before we actually get official releases of these bad boys. All we can do is hope. Anyway, did you guys know that this review was made possible thanks to my wonderful patrons? Seriously, I cannot thank you guys enough for your support. Especially Arijnaj, who has become a new patron. Thank you so much, guys. That Attack on Titan video took a lot out of me, and I'm trying my best to be as consistent with my content as I can, but at the same time, I don't want to rush things, so I just want to give you all the best I got. And by the way, I actually have some Kamen Rider designs over at my TeePublic, so if you love yourself some Kamen Rider, definitely consider picking those up. And once I reach enough patrons, I'll review the hit anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. So if you want to see that, then go support me on Patreon, especially if you want to see your name here, because I got a lot to say about Evangelion. Other than that, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is TitanGoji, wishing he had a motorcycle so he can do an awesome closing for this video, but he can't right now, so this is all you're getting. Shin Kamen Rider next week or so, bye!